Grinning, James looked at Maya. What makes you think that? When they reached their shelters, James began working on a knot. Since we're around one another for so long, never really apart for any significant amount of time, I just feel like it's as though we're inside of a house, always surrounded by our roommates. Maya commented as she began neatly bundling up the rope and putting it into a pack. Putting away the ropes after organizing them, James was thinking about what Maya said. Folding up the tarp, James nodded. I guess I could see what you mean. Even though we're outside, the fact that we're always around one another can't be disputed. He could hear Naylor and the elves talking with one another, finding their mannerisms to have been developed after dealing with each other constantly. This allowed the three of them to make comments that may sound offensive to outsiders. With his shelter stored away in his pack, James stood and wore the pack on his back. Sometimes, I think about how many more times we'll be doing this, James thought out loud. Maya had a pack on, tilting her head in confusion. What do you mean? It's something I can't help thinking about, James said. You mean this request? Maya asked for clarification. Shaking his head. It's a part of it, but being adventurous in general. I can't help but think about the decades of waking up just to go to another location where we'll likely have to fight monsters again. Maya was silent as though unsure of what to say. James didn't expect an answer, only voicing something on his mind that he'd sometimes consider. It was likely a thought that many in his profession would ponder about as they went about their day. Though the more he thought about it, the more he wondered if it was limited to just adventurers. Life was a repetitive journey. A person would wake up to usually the same tasks that they had done the day before. For adventurers, it would often be waking up outside to finish a request. After they finished their request, they would need to find a new one. It's not that it was boring, but just how life often was for people. The two of them walked to where the fires had been burning but were extinguished with the leftover water inside one of the pots, used to clean their utensils, though it was too dirty at that point. James didn't think it was vital to put out the fire with how full of life everything was. The thought that the forest would be destroyed by a campfire was humorous. With something as ancient as the forest, there had been plenty of lightning storms that would have bombarded the trees with bolts of searing light. The fact that the forest still survived after likely hundreds of years, if not longer, there was little chance that simple campfires would be successful at burning down any of the enormous trees. It's why the thought of building a road through the forest was an impressive one. The task would need thousands of workers, not only building the road, but also taking down the trees and transporting them out of the way. The logistics alone would be mind-boggling to imagine. James saw that everyone was finishing up and mostly ready. Mim and both Celine and Ral were ready to depart. You sure you'll be okay? Mim asked. Nodding, Celine said, I spent the night meditating to cleanse my mind and spirit of whatever was causing my mind to fall into turbulence. Mim placed a hand to his chin, clearly thinking about the situation. The problem is that even after meditating, I was unable to determine what is following us. Even worse is its motive still being cloaked in shadows. It's still a mystery, Celine added. With each passing day, I fear that we're out of our depths, Mim grimaced. Furrowing her brows, Celine asked, Do you think the Adventurers Guild is aware of this? Unspoken was whether the guild had set them up, knowing that they would fail from the beginning.